Welcome, everyone, to the Valorant Challengers League North America. I'm your host, Elizabeth, and it is time to find out who we are promoting. And I have the best person to help me out with it. It is my pineapple and pizza loving friend, Roy, Real Strong Legs. Roy, unfortunately, I do have to bring you in here despite your hatred for me, frankly. But it is good.
Happy to be here.
It is always good to be yapping with you, Roy, on the desk. Once again, we were here during the Open qualifiers, and now we are back again, kind of back in the same spot. We're going to find out who is going to make it into the league. And you've been on the desk for Challengers while I've been away. So what does it feel like now to be kind of seeing all this fruition come together for these teams who work through Premier, work through relegation, etc.?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing with in the last split is we really got to know a lot of these players and a lot of these teams and sort of how they play and their personalities, right? Because coming into it, yeah, we were familiar with some of the players, but there was a lot of players and there's a lot of team dynamics that we just weren't really sure of. We didn't know the power rankings. We didn't know how people were. We didn't know their energy, their vibes, right? We love vibe currency out here. We didn't really know much, but now, we're a few months in, we're really starting to understand the picture. We're really starting to understand these players. We're starting to get to know everybody. And it really does feel like, we're kind of on board now.
We're on board. We are ready for stage 2. But before we get there, we have to figure out who is going to make it there. And so we had our participating teams for the promotion relegation tournament. And you have Ambrosia, Hikikomori, Shopify Rebellion Gold, Nonverbal, and Maryville University. These are all teams that I really enjoyed watching from the observer feeds, etc. But today, my dear friends, we have 4 teams fighting it out for that promotion spot. But on today's stream, it'll just be Ambrosia versus Maryville University. Do I call it Maryville? Do I call it Maryville University? Is it like you say the full name, or like you can give it a nickname, Roy?
You can shorten it. I think we can shorten it a little bit just for just for ease.
Maryville. For ease. Maryville. But here are the standings after the past few days with the games that they've been playing. Ambrosia played wonderfully these past few days, Roy. Really some impressive stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually feel like they've completely turned their ship around, right? We saw them struggling in split 1. They really weren't really getting anything going. Then they take a little bit of break. Then they come back into the relegation tournament, and we just saw a complete turnaround of this roster. They're shooting their guns. They had a great performance recently as well against Hikikomori and against Shopify Rebellion Gold. I'm speaking about Ambrosia, by the way. And then Shopify Rebellion Gold also seemingly kind of finding their footing as well. Had a great match against Hikikomori. Struggled a bit versus Ambrosia, and now we find ourselves with Ambrosia in the number 1 seed, and of course Shopify Rebellion Gold in the number 2 seed, battling it out for another redemption opportunity, if you will, in VCL Split 2.
Yeah, and I think something I want to bring up is that Screwface said in a tweet recently that this relegation and this tournament has really ignited a fire in them. And you can see that passion, and they've been fighting for this at this point for days, just going back and forth, fighting for their spot to get here. And they will be facing Maryville University today on this stream, but Shopify Rebellion Gold will be facing Nonverbal today as well. I'll keep you updated as that goes along. But we have to talk about Ambrosia versus Maryville University. This is, we were talking about it, Roy, last night. These are kind of teams that are super exciting. We kind of see where they are. We kind of know where they are. But there is still a lot of question marks regarding what will they do, how will they play, what will they choose, etc.
Yeah, and I think the super interesting thing with this lineup is the fact that we've gotten to know Ambrosia over the last split, of course, and they have players that have been formerly in VCL. They have players that have competed as well. They've been around the circuit for a long time. But then you have players like the players on Maryville University, right? They're also not strangers. We've seen them in VCL last year. We've also, if you follow collegiate, you also know these players. They have a long history in the competitive circuit. They're not noobs. They're not amateurs. They're actually quite experienced, and they have a former tier 1 coach, MCE, as well. So the level of experience, the level of play that we're going to be seeing today is not a joke. It's not an amateur level gameplay. We're going to be seeing some high level Valorant, and it's going to be at minimum exciting.
This is why we always say you have to support all facets of Valorant, whether it's Game Changers, Tier 2, Tier 1, ILs, etc. Because you will see these people again and again and again, because these are people who have the tenacity and the grind to keep on going. You might, people who watched Challengers last year, you might see Screwface, that you recognize some, or even way back from the EG days, etc. But these are people that, even if you haven't really been super paying attention to Challengers, it'll remind you, like little deja vu, like, oh yes, I remember when, etc., etc., etc. Like this person was there. And these are, again, like you said, Roy, these are some heavy hitters, not only in your ranked queues. I'm sorry if you have to queue against them, genuinely, but
Demons.
But in the server, these are some of the most passionate individuals I think we have in Valorant total. Like, these are folks who are just grinding and playing for the love of the game and for to continue to play this game, right? And so it is so inspiring and so lovely, and just that creates the best Valorant. Roy, is there anyone you'd like to highlight on either team? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot. I know I've already talked about Screwface and Sarah, but is there anyone you would like for the audience to keep their eye on?
Yeah, I'm going to start with Ambrosia real quick, and then, because, you know, we're a little bit familiar with them. We've seen them play a lot, so I'm just going to touch on them real quick and then move on to the Maryville side. But, of course, Ambrosia, Screwface has been playing extremely well. He's the IGL for the roster. He seemingly did not have a great split one, but I don't know what happened in the last 5 matches, but he's really stepped it up. His utility's been on point. His calling's been on point, and it really does feel like things in that team internally are clicking. And the other person on that team that I'm a massive fan of is Satellite, of course. People are calling him the male floor, so there's that. He's extremely flashy. He plays a lot of the duelists, and he's been putting up pretty consistent high amount of numbers. And of course, shout out to Adder, former Turtle Troop player, and Glyph, a player that is extremely vocal and pops off within his role as well. That being said, moving on to the Maryville side, I'm actually a big fan of this roster. Chloric, a very vocal player, very pretty high firepower player. He's going to be the quote-unquote main IGL, and the reason why I say quote-unquote is because the fact that almost every person on this team has been an IGL or has IGL at some point, except I think with the exception of Giza. But everybody on this team is extremely vocal. They have a lot of firepower. They have a lot of mid-rounding, so you can expect a lot of that dynamic play that we love to see in Valorant. And I think it's going to be pretty cool matchup between these two rosters.
And yes, and we do have those maps, picks, and bans ready for you guys. And score, let's go. It's something that Zobi, who's gonna be on the call soon, a little spoiler, they were saying that these are maps and picks and bans that we kind of saw coming. But something I want to highlight from Screwface is that he tweeted that he hasn't played a best of 5 in a very long time. And this is Emerge is a team that also has been playing for this point days to get a bunch of best of 3s. Maryville has been kind of sitting very pretty, sitting very quietly and patiently waiting for this to come. But here are your map picks. Any surprises, Roy? Or does this kind of seem kind of run of the mill for what these teams have shown us thus far?
Yeah, I think this is pretty, honestly, this is kind of exactly what we expected. Pro Game being picked first by Ambrosia, not surprised. They have a great record on it. They've actually, if I'm not mistaken, they're about, 6-2 on that map. They're performing extremely well. They've had great results recently, and their kind of weird, unconventional composition with the Tejo Breach on that map paired with the Yoru has worked extremely well. And of course, that map has also not been a heavy played map by the Maryville side. So obviously, it makes sense for that to be the first map. But going into the second map, Fracture, it is a map that Maryville is quite experienced on. I think it's one of their most played map. If I'm not mistaken, they have about 15 officials within the last 3 months played on that map. So they have quite a few reps on that. But Liz, beyond just like the map pool, I think the one thing that we have to keep in mind here for these teams is the fact that, Ambrosia's played quite a few matches, no doubt. But the collegiate players have insane match stamina. They play so many officials compared to tier 2 players and compared to tier 1 players. They just have so much match experience and just so many matches under their belt. So when it comes to these sort of marathon matches, these best of 5s, it is a slight advantage, coming into it with familiar, just having that experience and having the wherewithal to just have the energy to sustain for long periods of time.
Yeah, I think it's important for the audience to understand that when you're maybe going on VLR or Liquipedia, you see, especially for these collegiate teams, only a fraction of what they play. These are teams that are playing in CVAL and various tournaments that are just grinding it out and do exactly what I was talking about, Roy, that match stamina, that match tenacity. Tenacity is going to be the name of the game today. Who can handle it, who can stick it out. And Zobi was talking earlier about, who they think, is if it goes all the way, who's going to win there, because they had a difference for their predictions there. And we do have our predictions. We are split kind of even, Roy. You and I, specifically. We're going to have a fight, frankly. First with the pineapple and pizza, and then for this. But
the ultimate battle for everything.
Ultimate battle. I decided Maryville. You decided Ambrosia, and Zobi Ambrosia up mine with Mary University. I guess I'm going to ask you why Ambrosia. Actually, I'm going to ask you why not Maryville. I'm going to change the question a little bit. Why not Maryville?
I would like to preface on my defense that this was an extremely hard decision.
Yes.
And ultimately, I really do feel like this is a 51% Ambrosia, and that 1% is the reason why I picked Ambrosia and not Maryville. I just like what I have seen from Ambrosia recently. I think their last 2 matches have been just so sweeping and so dominant that I feel like the confidence and the momentum that they're bringing in here is going to be a definite factor. But that being said, I think the one thing that kind of throws me into the loop and why I honestly, I don't even hate your decision and don't hate Upmine's decision for choosing Maryville is the fact that there's just so much experience on the Maryville roster. And when it comes to prep, when it comes to, you know, just general like match approaching, that I dig it. I can't even hate. I don't even think it's a battle. I respect the Maryville pick. I think both of these rosters are incredible and they're unique in their own ways. And it's going to be a pretty good match.
And I want to echo what you said. That was a hard decision to make, because especially what we talked about in the beginning, Ambrosia has been really improving round on round on round as they go, and it's been such a pleasure to watch them. And like, I don't know if they obviously have not reached their peak yet, but like how much higher can they go from here? And moving into Agent Select, right away we see a Vise on the side of Maryville University, excuse me. We have that Tejo, that classic adder Tejo on Ambrosia, Satellite, Yoru. Nothing too surprising as far as I can see, Roy.
Yeah, you know what's actually weird is everyone, when people saw Adder on the Tejo, everyone was freaking out. Adder's not playing Deadlock, he's a Deadlock main. I was like, dude, Adder is so flexible. He just happened to play that role for his previous teams, but he's a very flexible player. Obviously, we've seen a lot from Ambrosia. They've been playing the comp incredibly well. It's one of their best maps. And on the Maryville side, they're running a bit of a small little twist on the conventional cookie cutter comp, right? The KO Sova, we've seen that for since pretty much the match came out, and they're opting to swap the Killjoy into a fight. It makes sense. The Vice is in a very good place right now, and it pairs extremely well for that extra stopping power, as well as that small information network that she gets from her flash, being able to clear things on the map. So expect a brawl for the early map control with the breach composition, and a lot of that utility coming in for the defense on the Ambrosia side.
And my fellow Astra mains, we are eating good today because we are the best, and Astra is picked on both sides. She is the best, most beautiful, amazing controller. Everyone who plays her has clear skin, et cetera, et cetera. But this is one of those things where it really just kind of comes down to how, like Roy, what you're talking about, how those comps are used and are they utilized correctly. So it is going to be very, very exciting to see how this all shakes out, if you are, as I said earlier, how the cookie crumbles, like the cookie cutter reference. Oh God, I'm so good. Who do you think is going to win the map, Roy? Any predictions?
I'm leaning a little bit in favor of Ambrosia.
Okay. Fair and valid. And I, of course, I think I'll lead towards Maryville University because I also play a very nasty Vise in this map. So anytime I see Vise, I say, yes, please. But that's going to be enough for me and Roy, okay? And I have 2 wonderful casters to send it over to. 2 brilliant redheads who are just the absolute best at what they do. It is Upmine and Zobi on the call. So friends, please take it away.
Liz, thank you so much for the very warm introduction. I feel welcomed. I feel like you know, this is a spot where I haven't felt too warm like this before in a long time. It's been what, 2 years more or less, folks. Welcome. My name is Upminds. It's been a minute, and I'm joined here by Zobi. What's up, twin? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, you know, just like Roy and Liz. I was here for the last promo relegation, and now I'm excited to be the one to welcome you back hand in hand, Mike and Mike, to cast this wonderful promotion matchup. But Maryville versus Ambrosia, we were also divided. The desk divided, the casters divided. What are we thinking?
Yeah, what are we thinking? I mean, yeah, we saw the predictions. For me, yeah, I lean Maryville a little bit. First of all, gotta say, I have my bias. Ange helped me out on a college project a few years ago, so honestly, I got an A on that project, all right? It helped me graduate, so shout out to Ange. But yeah, no, in all reality, again, like the Des was saying, Maryville does have that sort of experience coming into this game. They've been in Challengers before, but that's not to say that the other side hasn't been impressive throughout this tournament so far. Shout outs to Ambrosia and what we've seen so far, and let's get into Pearl.
All right, pretty standard. B main fake out, just get rid of that Vice utility early on. The clone actually goes awry, so the sheer wall not going to get tripped in the meantime. Yep, information contact collection here. They spotted out 1 shops and the comm comes through. It looks like, ooh, Ambrosia was ready to fight and Maryville not going to have any of it. Starts to disengage through art.
Now it's just a scoping out for the rest of Ambrosia. Ambrosia. It's a bit of a different look. For the first time in this tournament, they're starting off on the attacking side. here of Pearl, and they've been so dominant on that defending side. We've seen Pearl twice from them, and I think we've only seen really 5 rounds on that defensive side for Ambrosia, or excuse me, not on the defensive side, on the attacking side for Ambrosia. Here comes Maryville, trying to push the situation a little bit. Smiley out on his own, gonna need the util a little bit, but is baiting in 2 players into main. Now it's just gonna be the 1-on-4 basically over towards Cat, and Smiley, wait a minute! You didn't even notice it. Smiley actually wins out both of the battles back over towards main. So the 1v4 really wasn't even an issue. All Smiley.
Yeah, showcasing that. Those 5 rounds just because they didn't get to play the attack side, so showing heroic plays, solo clear out, sets them up beautifully for a flawless post-plant scenario. The 2v5 retake, layers upon layer of deadlock utility used for the site. You got your Astra Stars ready at the get-go, and everyone playing for survival. First layer of defense gone. Go for info, leverage numbers, close things out.
Last player standing.
A whole lot of HP taken away from Ambrosia, but that would really be only positive about this whatsoever for Maryville, as it's going to be perfect. Satellites gets last.
I mean, this post plant, right? It's like every single agent has their own form of delay, right? You have, you know, the sonic sensors, you have satellite with the flashes, you have the grab well, you have obviously the guided salvos and the aftershock. Like, if Spike goes down in these situations, and especially if you're down numbers, you are gonna have no way to break through these defenses, and that's exactly what we just saw. And we're also seeing, you know, the new rework of Deadlock, that rechargeable grab net come into effect later on to stall out any of that A main aggression that's meant to dislodge these players from that sort of force. But jumping into the next round, again, heavy stack coming out from Maryville. Saw it in the pistol, seeing it now on the eco. Fortunately, wrong side of the map, leaning towards B. Again, this default for Ambrosia, just looking for where the masses are. And unfortunately, no real information from Maryville being given away. So just gonna hold their own, scale up slowly, and see if they can punish anyone.
This is the best case scenario, really, for MU. Ambrosia, very spread apart. Could it be some individual either 1-on-1s or 1-on-2s? No need there. Get back up for the Euro just for the first contact. But I mean, it's pretty obvious, though. Somebody is going to be on that B site. So not much more information outside of that. Ambrosia, not pushing the situation too much. They hold their control B main for now. They drag in the rest of the players. No information for Maryville so far, though, for them to make that big rotation.
Ooh, now they're gonna hear the footsteps, the cascade of players making their way towards this site, the util and all. Ooh, Pillar not completely cleared out, even with the wall bang shot, the satellite, gate crash in, Vandal in hand, easy work.
30 seconds left.
From Satellite. Satellite's been quite the decent tournament so far, and Ambrosia, they're gonna continue sort of that winning mentality period. I mean, what a tournament from them in comparison to what we had seen from Ambrosia in the past. And a bit of a what was the term that the players used for the fifth man for the rotation? Again, the
Cupid shuffle.
The Cupid shuffle is what the players called the fifth man getting rotated out. But yeah, no. Once they finally settled on Adder, all fine. But before that, I would like to think that Screwface and the rest of the guys kind of face a tough moment, face some accountability a little bit. Here's Ambrosia. A little bit of a new look for them. Smiley tries to push out the situation. Wildfire does at least get a frag from it. But just a little ghost.
I mean, it makes sense. It would have been a 2v5 retake. Maryville just wanted to starve them of the orbs, right? They already have the dimensional drift, which will be great for the third round bonus attempt. Smiley going for those kills because he only had a ghost in hand, and he wanted to supercharge that annihilation, and he did. He walks away with 2, right? The 1 kill, the death, and that's going to be a great now way for him to take a main control, hopefully get that orb as well. And they're set up really well to start snowballing here. And again, talked about coordination, calling. It is all gorgeous right now on the side of Ambrosia, but the real test is about to begin. Weapons on the side of Maryville. And a timeout even, because they don't want it to go south.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to blame Maryville here for this timeout either. I'm not going to lie to you. Ambrosia, when it comes to, again, the attacking side, we have only seen a singular gun round, a singular even gun round from Ambrosia on attack. So MU, they need to start off on the right foot here. They can already get a pretty decent look at Ambrosia here. Can already not let them, kind of reach deep into that strat book. If they already pull off a pretty fundamental win here in this round. Maryville, again, stakes are already high. It's only round number 3. But again, folks, BO5, The stakes are as high as it gets. Either you get left out of challengers, basically. You get left out of top tier 2 play, or you make it to the island of relevancy known as challengers. And yeah, Maryville, again, it's a big situation where, again, a lot of these players, they've been in challengers before. Same thing with Ambrosia, of course, but they just came out of it. Maryville, this roster coming together throughout this last semester, throughout this last year, this would already be a huge turnaround for them, for this team to already do something here. Every game, every round important for this team. So here we go. Away from the timeout, away from all that unnecessary drama, as we move on with Ambrosia going back to the default, going back to basics, really just trying to draw a look out of Maryville.
Yeah, it's always this start pop of aggression, right? Drone, usually the clone, just to get this utility, get any early rotations pulled out of Maryville, but they hold steadfast where they are. The deeper adaptation of the sheer wall as well, I want to point out here from Giza. I like it, again, geared against that Yoru, because they used to run a Yoru as well, so they know how it functions around device. But looking like Ambrosia,
Over there.
for the first time, trending towards a heavy A main presence because of this dimensional drift entry. Wildfire, that knife might be too early to detect the masses as well, so not maybe gonna expect the full forces hurtling at them here.
And that's perfect from the Yoru. Yoru's gonna be able to catch both, and Satellite, the chaos is there. His clone goes nuts, and there's still a little bit of fight here for Maryville. Ren's in the back of sight, able to take down Adder, but not before Adder gets to kill himself.
You got weapons, even in the numbers disadvantage. Took down one of the heavy post-plant demons. The job's been done. Defense is laid. Flowers already denied. One avenue cut off here. The eco weapons. Screwface posted on the angle. Again, the sensors in full swing here. There's so much protocol set up for this sort of situation.
Here comes the retake there. From Ambrosia, basically. The retake for the retake back on site as Maryville. Yeah, they just got so trapped. What a setup there from Ambrosia. Maryville have literally nowhere to go. Even if they do survive, you know, 1 or 2 interactions, they turn back, they're going to get killed regardless.
And what I'm starting to see take form as well is how the lurk from Glyph is going to function, right? They start with the team, they start with the exec, and then they late flank, you know, either going to be through mid door for B side or through art for that A play. And I really like that, because what you'll commonly see is them get kind of ganged up on by rotating masses. So this ensures their security, ensures their util stays on for as long as possible, and then they can get that cherry on top kill as well. So bonus converted for Ambrosia. Timeout doesn't do much to circumvent it here. And look at this. They're still carrying at least the outlaw over, expecting, the eco for Maryville after darting their buy round. Look at this, another mid-escapade. We saw them kind of take this space, make contact with Glyph, and then disengage. I wonder how far they're going to go this time around.
As of right now, extremely safe from Ambrosia, but I like this hold here from Maryville.
Over there.
It's just a solid trap. Even if you get the 1 or 2 contacts going out, it would be sparing.
Wildfire is going to hear all of this. So all the players now, or at least get to see Ren start to join up here for this B defense. The drone not see anything. It's kind of a red herring in this situation, but Astra Star's stealth drone starting to make its way towards this side of the map. And look at how deep the KO, again, has inserted themselves. So if they're going to hear if this is a fake towards B, if they hear the masses rotating back, or you just make contact on a satellite.
Yeah, there's just Ambrosia, again, with just cutting of noise. No idea where they could be. Maryville
30 seconds
kind of just
left.
forced to either put out a look, keep checking for contact, and Adder, yeah, that's perfect. Watches the 2 players running away over towards A. Again, it's been complete lack of information for Maryville throughout this round. Even when you had the noise from Wildfire, Ambrosia had already put out multiple default looks throughout this half already. But here comes the presumable spike plan here, Chloric. Get that kill, Clark. Yeah, there you go. Now it's a 2-on-4.
Oh, but they're divided, right? Ren, Art, Flora dealt with as well over towards Flowers. A little down to the wire because of, again, how deep the roots were set there for the default of Ambrosia. But again, you mentioned it, that lack of information. Maryville had themselves inserted so deep and still had no clue what was going on.
Yep.
Like, that's impressive, right? Like, Wildfire all the way top mid, can't really pinpoint if this is, okay, gonna end B, gonna end A, and then they're taken out of the equation anyways, without much tradability there as well from their own Astra outside of mid-door.
It's simple with the fact, though, that, again, anti-eco, you're facing these pistols. The pistols they have to combine their efforts in some way, shape, or form. That early information is so important, and Maryville just wasn't able to have any information to react with. Here we go, though. As Maryville have 2 easy players over towards that B site, but we're already going to start with a dimensional drift. TP right into the middle of site. Chaos going to go down. Renz needs a pick.
Yeah, this is the first time they're sporting that operator as well, right? Delayed economy kickstart. That's what the buy situation was with those pistols last round. The dimensional drift, perfect for stealing that novelty factor of the first time buy for this map away. Floric can replace themselves here, but ooh, quickly traded.
Still Renz does have that line of sight and does have even strength here between the rest of the team. Multis here for Maryville. Earnestly here, they still have plenty to work with. Ange putting up the stars now. Wildfire still has double flashes and a nade to try to clear out back lane. Renz, though, stepping out, trying to get a pixel. Nothing happening. Love this wasting time here from Ambrosia. Nobody showing anything. Maryville forced to make some risky moves, forced to show some pixels, but that's huge. Ange and Wildfire combining for 2. You still have Smiley and Satellite. Rotating around sight, but it's just Smiley going down to 32 HP. 32 HP left, and he still gets a big frag and still gets the second. Ambrosia, their toughest challenge, and they still survive.
And we're seeing new facets of those post plants as well, right? Particularly Glyph knows when to play their util, knows when to get aggressive, when maybe the balance in terms of their utility, their stall power is starting to tip away from them. And that set up then Smiley and Satellite to clutch out the round, to play the clock down. And I mean, we've had 2-dimensional drifts already from Satellite. We're starting to trade those up for the big boys, like the Annihilation, like the Armageddon. It's just feels like it's going to be hard to escape this purgatory. Maryville's now finding themselves in. And they chose to start in this half. They chose to start where they didn't have much VOD material on this team. A team that's been playing the last few days, like you mentioned, the observer feeds, capturing it all. And I think that's what's showing here in terms of the lack of innovation, the changes in terms of how they're playing out these rounds.
And that's so tough to see. Again, Maryville, just the amount of experience that you have on this team, adaptation, some sort of change, honestly, is still expected. You still have so much Valorant to be played. You still have MCE at the helm right now for this Maryville team. So still on a dime. Things can change here, but Ambrosia.
Shot down.
Bang.
My ult is ready.
Chloric is going to knock down the first pin here for Ambrosia. And it looks like the pistols, excuse me, are
They're gonna do it
playing
again?
just the way that they should be. The crossfire back into sight. Okay. No dart stuck on the body. Now the cross is back. And you still have Ambrosia with awareness back over towards that mid side. Giza, free frag. Smiley is going to take him back, but still the disadvantage is there. There goes the Teo ultimate, and still Chloric trying to rein in with a Hunter's Fury of his own. Only able to get 1 tick onto Adder. 3-on-3, though, regardless if it's pistols or not. Big opportunity for MU.
It seems like whenever there's an opening, whenever there's a clean setup from Maryville, Smiley's been there to disrupt it, right? We talked about the A main solo frags. We talked about those site solo frags. And even though it's an eco, 2 ultimates now being dumped in for Maryville. The null command huge for disrupting these post-plant utility pieces, but then you just have the players playing forward, like Adder. Smiley dealing with the flank, and once again, these players are fragmented.
Chloric jumps down, but he was heard.
Ooh.
Adder strikes him away. Smiley still gets the kill onto Ainge. And we move. Again, it wasn't supposed to be dramatic. Maryville certainly made it happen that way, but this is a big round coming up again for Maryville. First even opportunity they've had in a little minute with the guns. Ambrosia, again, we're talking about adaptations. We're talking about what could change for a reason here. And yeah, Ambrosia just continues to look better and better. Timeout fully necessary here for Maryville University, even though they already had one early on this half.
Yeah.
That's their last timeout, no?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to pinpoint, right? The third round timeout felt uncharacteristic, but now utilizing both in this first half, when if it's down 0-6, it makes sense, right? If this half gets out of hand, and you mentioned the defense side is stronger for Ambrosia, you might be starting to get afraid if you are Nicole, but I mean, you mentioned that they would have their own say, and I mean, they're not going to have their say until overtime then at this point, or until halftime, and I mean,
that's true.
Yeah. And I mean, I think this is the round where you need that timeout. I talked about that purgatory they're trapped in, buy save, but look at the difference here. Renz, Giza, each one off from their ultimates. Renz, we kind of saw last time, right? The opening pick with the operator didn't go their way because of dimensional drift, and then it was hard for them to fight back in because Adder was holding that backside angle so beautifully. And so now, pull out the Bladestorm. You're good to go. You're good to retake in full force with the rest of your team.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Again, one kill separating Renz from an ultimate. I mean, we would have seen a little bit of a different round there from RELE. I mean, just a little bit different, and then totally different. But that is a big ping. Already on to one, but that's only half information. You still have the Tejo putting out a look back over towards the B site. Ambrosia, once again, consistently putting out some sort of look throughout the map.
And that early aggressive Astra utility makes you think they've deposited a player deep here. And I thought they were actually going to fight for that orb, like you mentioned, being one off for Renz, but I think Smiley would have completely shattered that idea, annihilation and all, as soon as the sound cue goes live. But they're still not out of danger just yet. You said it takes one kill. Renz this time could find it here if Satellite doesn't beat them to it. Op versus op. The drone going out mid, but doesn't matter. What?
Oh, it's actually Smiley that gets that pick midair. Good tracking from Smiley. Snag him out of midair. No TP. Instead, it's going to be the clone. Ainge playing with a whole lot of chaos on the mid site, but still able to get one. Here comes Chloric. Strikes down the last. And this choke point is all Maryville's. Still another opportunity here for Ambrosia. They're coming out towards Catwalk. Screwface in the front lines, going to be able to plant behind the Cosmic Divide. Another Cosmic Divide coming, though, for Ainge. Retake coming immediately for Maryville.
And Adder in a good position here to counter the off angle from Amp. The shots to the line. The Rolling Thunder comes in as well. And suddenly, the scale starting to tip back in Ambrosia's way off of Screwface's first frag and their fault line.
Great information again.
Shorty.
Up to the deadlock. Shorty! In the deep seas, in the tall grass, Screwface takes away the two. Maryville, no chance at the end, but again, once again, closest round we've seen yet from Maryville. Screwface just puts a stamp of approval.
And we started to see signs of life in that they understood. First off, that's criminal. The little stagger. But second, what they wanted to do was they started fighting forward, trying to deny the site control at all. They realized, okay, we can't play retake against this style of composition, which is what, okay, that live by the site, die by the site mentality between Angie and Chloric was off of that grab well, off of that, counter Cosmic Divide, and it just didn't work out. 0-7 favoring Ambrosia. Satellite. No operator salvage, but they've been fine with the Outlaw on these eco rounds. Looking to punish any mid-aggressive pop, which we've seen from Maryville quite a few times on these pistol buys, but they've taken up space elsewhere off of France's Bladestorm. Maybe trying to punish the solo Smiley lurk over towards A main. There's going to be a lot of info. You know how to cross parts of the map off. Okay.
Satellite, not much is going to be affected by just the ping, but here is, again,
The trap.
the trap. Maryville, they have to strike down here on that opportunity. From Renz here, Ainge gets spotted, but do they know about the second? It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. The knives do nothing. It's all Ainge. How does the sheriff do it? Guns still in the hands of Ambrosia, but they're down by 2, and they have no control here on A except of the actual site itself.
And I thought for a second, if you look over towards mid door, that Glyph had snuck through undetected, but doesn't matter. Wall up. The players from Maryville still uncertain. Okay, were they going to follow through Art off the Yoru util? Or are they ending B here? Giza, the anchor, the Steel Garden, let rip again. Utilizing the ultimates on eco rounds that are very, very winnable.
And it's good enough for Giza to get the frag. Good spray from Chloric. 2v5. A lot of work to be done here, but still not necessarily impossible. But there you go. Giza is going to stamp away yet another kill. Third one from Giza. As Maryville finally gets themselves one. And how long has it been since I've been on a broadcast? Zobi, do you know maybe the number of how many days it's been since I've been on one of these broadcasts?
You said 2 years, didn't you?
Almost, just about. I want you to know this entire 2 years, every single time a 7-1 has happened on any Valorant broadcast, it has been tweeted at me by the same exact person. I've been reminded of this. And guess what? It's probably going to happen. He doesn't even need to do anything. I've been reminded of my demise. It feels good to be back. 7-1 going towards Ambrosia. What a round coming from Maryville once again. This time Ambrosia full out towards the B site except for one.
Yeah, and that's pretty standard from this team at this point. I do like the more stark follow-up, but it's punished. Renz, finally the opening kill. The investment into this operator paying off. Satellite, though, creeps in off the reposition here. Might be able to get a punish on Giza, and they do. That's going to hopefully accelerate the rest of the team, but it's come slow, the approach. Here we go. You're trying to catch it on the glyph, lurk as well. A very creative Nebula here, but Cloric is all over it. Now, ease on the rotation. Can focus now on this retake.
And these players are floating a little bit. They're picking and prodding through some of these angles. It's very aggressive from Ambrosia. The op might be able to get something done here. No way. Deadlock ulti doesn't get anyone. No one-on-one. Ren's still looking for a pixel. Nobody shows anything to Ren so far. I'm behind a Nebula still. Renz is going to wait a long time for that smoke to go down. The spike is taking Satellite on a one-on-one. Satellite gets it. Still a couple more for Satellite. Everyone getting trapped up by Ambrosia once again. And it's all just a disaster. Main advantage for Maryville, and they still can't crack through Ambrosia.
I mean, first off, to coming back on that 7-1, the first round of Maryville, I mean, this team 13-0 Shopify Rebellion Gold, right? On this map. So again, starting the series strong here. Ambrosia, even that round, right? It felt like Maryville had an advantage coming to that post plant. I mean, look, the opening frag goes their way. They caught off the lurk player. That goes their way. And still, it's aggressive plays like this. And the coordination, did you see that GravNet guided salvo combination? It completely obliterates the players that are coming out of Link. It's beautiful to pick up the slack after Annihilation goes south. And now, they are just re-seizing the reins, rescaling up the tempo here, just like they did over towards B. Now they flip-flop it over towards the A site, and expect a response from Maryville.
Perfect combo to have the end here, but here comes yet another take from Ambrosia. This time, once again, the Yoru going in for a little bit of chaos. Smiley already up on one, and Satellite pops out and snags down H. 3 more left here for Maryville. They are in completely different poles here. Cliff is able to spot one. Satellite's gonna get yet another 1v1.
Oh, are they?
And you even have Screwface. Yeah, well, into a 1v1, yes. You know, that still does happen, but Screwface is there for the re-1v1. Agiza, Renz, they're trying to make something out of this round, but nada. Surely not. Big round from Ambrosia once again.
To play for the next round hero rifle, try to keep Ambrosia off of double digits this half. But what I love are the adjustments out of Ambrosia here, right? You're up 8-1 and you're still making improvements. We talked about how the closest round, besides the one Maryville won, was that A shutout, right? And they made changes. They had even deeper utility, right? They had the extra sonic sensor over towards Art. They had the Gravwell over Art just to prevent a reflood like Cloric did when they did the little jiggle out of the Nebula, just so that they couldn't kind of blender the players of Ambrosia on their entry out of main. And that is gorgeous in showing, again, how well-rounded this team has become, how much work they've put in to avoid relegation here. And, I mean, that was our third dimensional drift of the half, and they're about to pair it up with a now Armageddon and a dimensional drift trade-out, so it's just every player is doing their job right now for this squad. And Maryville, oh, I wish they had one more timeout.
Yeah, now would be the time. Now that they've actually cracked through a little bit, even though they won off Sheriffs. Unfortunate here for MU, but still. Let's see if the Sheriffs can do the thing. Sheriff only to Challengers. Why not? That's a cool challenge. Friends.
Oh.
Gonna be able to spot one, but doesn't get the frag, and Screwface doesn't finish it off. Adder does get the trade back. Maryville with a bit of a chance. They are rotating one back over towards the B side, and actually no developments for Ember. Oh, they were thinking about full B, but they are inching back over towards A. But Maryville, they haven't dropped everyone back over towards B. This is a great hold here from Ange.
Yeah, good thing about Screwface falling, no Rolling Thunder, but the trade from Adder awards them the Armageddon here. We've seen how it's utilized on these BXX. Just clear out Hall, mark that checkbox, allow Satellite to gate crash in unimpeded, but this isn't a full sell yet towards the B site. Right? If these lurk players over towards the main can find the kills, but Ange for a second time is a pillar. Alone, they can get the job done, get the weapon upgrades, but again, this was a double-headed attempt. It drew the players off Lid B, is going to allow for the safe plan with your 2 heavy post-plan demons, both sonic sensors for Smiley, Armageddon for Adder and guided salvos. This is a very winnable situation, even with the 2 weapons collected.
Absolutely. We should have been reminded of that a little bit earlier, and they still had the Yoru to kind of delay time with the flashes, and that's exactly what he did earlier. But this time, though, Adder needs to be on the hard look. It's the same thing with Smiley. Smiley needs to look over towards main. He's going to get into a 1v1, but it's going to be very late. Ange could pull out that Cosmic Divide at any point. And there's Adder. Adder! Still, the ultimate not going to be able to hit, but he does get one. Cloric looking for something here on side, but that's what we've been waiting for. Ange with a huge frag, but does Ange have time?
Ooh, yeah, they do. Definitely down to the wire. Unless I'm wrong?
No way!
Oh my god! I mean, that just is right in the script at this point. Like, what? That, in all intents and purposes, should have gone to Maryville. Again, capitalizing on the composition. The fact that they have a deadlock that can't hold down the flank. What?
Yeah, I knew the whole time it wasn't gonna blow up.
That it wasn't? Or it was?
No, that wasn't. That it wasn't. Anyway, yeah, I knew for sure. No, yeah. Listen, incredible. Once again, Ainge steps up for his team, but my goodness, it's not enough.
Look at that.
So close to escaping the ulti too.
Like, that was a perfect way to circumvent the delay comp. The 2 delay agents that I mentioned, right? Sonic Scissors upon Armageddon, upon a double swing. Like, there was so much working for both sides there, and that is just brutal. Not just for the rounds, because that's double digits for Ambrosia, but for the mental, right? If you're Maryville. I mean, all right, economy, that was fine, right? That was your save. Hero rifles, like you mentioned. Angie really gave them a stepping stone to walk across the water on.
Yeah, but
now they're realizing, okay,
that.
Angie's a threat. We got to deal with him. Rest though. I like that they've shifted to like early information, right? Early drone down long, early peeks A main, take that space.
It's how they were working a little bit earlier. It's just without the hard look over towards A, but they still had somebody looking over towards main. A small adjustment here for Ambrosia to just shut down that mentality from Ainge getting deeper and deeper into A main. There's a bit of a stop here, but Renz. It's an angle back over towards mid. Plenty of heads to potentially aim at, but they're all gonna head
30 seconds
towards
left.
B from now. Nobody in link to try to shut this down. 2 players on B to hold it down.
Yeah, I mean, there was no use on mid door. The Rolling Thunder should be good to immobilize the Vice, with the net might as well while they're full stunned. That was a triple util combo for 1 player. And even that, look at this, the time, down, the spike, down, 9 seconds. Hunter's Fury also pings a singular player out. Satellite has to connect this plant at all costs. You stick it, you throw your life away, but they get the plant secured.
Incredible Satellite, still able to catch the frag onto Wildfire, but that nade was huge. There goes the drop of the Astra. Ainge looking for an angle. Renz actually finds one. Now it's just Chaos. Adder coming up from behind. Where did he come from? Still a one-on-one. Still going flying, but it's Satellite to get the kill instead. Now they can all run for the hills. Run away from Renz. Run. It's a 1 deal. It's a done deal. Ambrosia. I mean, again, so much drama. For what? Easy deal here for Ambrosia.
And
Switching sides.
I mean, that's how the half ends for the 11-1 half favoring Ambrosia. Again, on paper, Maryville playing that so well, minus the mid-door opening that Ambrosia clearly took advantage of. The utility should have denied. The Astral Wall, brilliant for allowing those players to funnel in their own safe passage, kind of HOV lane avenue. And just Satellite rolls along, denies it. And I love the fact that there it is. Glyph dies for the cause. And again, you saw it, the Sonic Sensor. So the delay utility always in place. Like, 11-1, pistol, do or die.
Huge business here for Maryville. But again, this is the side that we've seen Ambrosia. Stars on so far. I mean, it's really been their trademark. Again, only playing 5 rounds of attacking side Pearl so far, and they've played Pearl twice so far this tournament. Now, this being the third, they've played a whole half, and not much of a difference to their defensive side. They started off right, Satellite deep into B long. That's usually the look that they put off. And even Smiley getting on his own one-on-one, chaotic one-on-one, and still has support back up towards mid. Ainge, that's huge. B might be open a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, opening fire from Satellite. The outpacing of your own 0 point, a little off. And I liked the mid-trap mid-door as well. Clean, shows how Ambrosia is going to navigate with this suboptimal Sentinel information, right? And composition, right? Only real info you have is the stealth drone from your Tejo. So with that, though, they disengaged, right? They grouped up Hall, so now the Vice has an in. Giza scales Link. A J-goal from Smiley. Catches it. But there's sensors there. Slows down the push. Replace it with your own delay. And hopefully you can address one of these avenues.
And Ambrosia, yeah, just had the 2 players on an island there. Floric thankfully able to take away both, but if 1 player goes down there, this is basically all Ambrosia's, but here we
One
go.
enemy
2
remaining.
on 3. Cloric with that first tap in, and it's
Wow.
all Cloric. Cloric with the 4K to push Maryville over the edge.
I mean, you lose your duelist mid door, someone's got to take the dive. And
Correct.
Cloric has been insane with the pistols next to Ange, obviously with their sheriff shenanigans over towards Amy in last half. 10-11, finally put up some positive numbers here in a positive round. The pistol, we said it was a must win. And they did a great job reeling things back in when both of their attempts, both over towards B, over towards mid door for the split, falls short. The follow-up from Giza was just that reposition from Ambrosia that was a little off-footing. So here we go. Eco round. Aggressive attempt. Funnel some orbs towards Satellite. That dimensional drift here early on. Maybe even funnel the players, right? You think there's a stack maybe funneling through A main off that deep Astra smoke that had Nebula.
Right.
So maybe they would go towards B where there's 5 players now. But no. Maryville hold their cool.
Yeah, you would maybe expect one player, right, from Ambrosia to try
Yeah.
to maybe throw that off, but this is almost the opposite. Like, they throw up the smoke, and it is a complete cut of noise. Maryville's just like, oh yeah, no, they gotta all be
Nice,
hiding
do
at this
nothing.
point, right? It's just second guessing. It's this weird paranoia here from Maryville, but they don't care. They have the guns.
I mean, 0 point saw literally nobody. No one destroys it. They're
Yeah,
good.
0 point is everything, right? They have
That
more
was-
than enough information grab. They still have this, the Sova too.
Yeah, and that was a repercussion of not keeping one player there, right? They could have destroyed it, then you don't know how many are hiding. So they're not going to use much utility here, and I love this. I've seen this before. Deny them all of those ult orbs. Just give them the round when you realize your gamble stack has gone south. I mean, you got, 8 more rounds to work with a wiggle room.
Love it. Love it. Playing the long game, even though they're up 8. That's awesome. That's awesome. Really playing that long game. Hey, respect.
Yeah, the
Respect
only
to Maryville.
thing is, look at how strong the bonus buy is, though, for Maryville as a result, right?
Yep.
You got a rifle, you got bulldogs, outlaw, guardian, and a few light shields in that regen shield that can be targeted, hopefully, by Rens. So, yes, ult orb, long game played, but gives Maryville some hope in here, perhaps, if they can play this bonus out well.
It's only the singular player going out towards long too. Renz is just gonna raw going to mid right now, just trying to get himself a couple of dry angles. Not able to find much. Ange did try to make an attempt back over towards B long, but it really only was a contact. The battle here for Ambrosia has already come down to a bit of a head here over towards A main.
Ooh, and I'm gonna trademark this, I think, as the glyph one way, right? They played it on their lurks, they're playing it now. Unfortunately, not gonna have any of it. Double clear, waited out. Well, the drone also clears mid-door, so they set themselves up for an A-split, respecting Smiley's wall, waiting for it to disperse. Look at this, Smiley, and they realize where the players are coming from. Dynamic on their setup.
Renz to find anyone just yet. Smiley still looking for a little bit more distance. Still no shots from Renz, and actually there it is. Renz able to catch one. Giza even with his own angle. So MU playing the extremities a little bit here, waiting out their time for Ambrosia to peek out a bit. It does work out for an advantage, but still, it's only a man advantage. Giza looking for a big kill on the outer, and it happens. Cloric takes down Satellite. The battle is not done yet for Maryville.
I mean, Giza, the trade master at this point. And I mentioned how strong the weapons were for Maryville for a conversion coming into that round. And again, we talked about how strong the Ambrosia defense is, but the A-side address kind of feels lacking. Like, at least for Maryville, we saw them take consistent presence, right? Leave it to Ange, the deep hold. And again, I don't want to necessarily relegate this to the deadlock, but it's part of the problem. Not how Smiley's playing it, just the agent, the composition, right? They're trying to use it more for, again, live by this site, die by this site, anchor sentinel instead of split information, right? They have no info art in this sort of setup. And I talked about how this is the half that Maryville's going to have everything on Ambrosia, right? They've watched those 2 times it's been played, I would hope. They know what tendencies are going to look like here. And they're starting to feel a lot more comfortable in their skin with that information.
Like you were saying about the deadlock, it is kind of the live by the sword, die by the sword kind of moment. They are putting so much weight onto Smiley. Of course, in this round, it is the eco, but some pressure here. Teo not able to get much, but the jumping screw face it's taken away. But again, a lot of reliance here on that deadlock before, but it's not like Ambrosia are ones to really poke and prod. I mean, the one time that we really saw Ambrosia, really pressure over towards really the mid side, I think it was really only once or twice. The Yoru satellite is really going to be roaming this entire time. So yes, you can depend on the pure holds, but it's going to be somebody like Satellite to me who's going to make a little bit more of this difference, trying to throw MU off their game.
Oh, I like this. Get out of the way of the Hunter's Fury. Play the full 4 flood in, or maybe even just all tied to the spike again. We'll have to wait and see. I'd like to see them go for this before the economy gets too out of hand. I mean, it's already pretty out of hand for Maryville. And now you can see that first post-plant look. Obviously, not as strong composition-wise as Ambrosia's, but I like the flash timing layering here. I like the Ren's deep position hauls. It all looks strong. If your post-plant players, you're after yourself off-site. And yeah, it feels like Ambrosia's just trying to keep enough presence here to keep the players from Maryville on site. Maybe draw a weapon or two out.
Yeah, the trust for Ren's for him to be in that back lane too. An agent like Jet, not much util for them to really evade. It's just gonna be the smoke to sneak away. But Ambrosia.
Yeah. And we saw a nice kind of explanation or answer for how Maryville's gonna play this half as well, with the double initiator this time. So much so that Ambrosia's taking time out, right? They had the wildfire lurk over towards A, right? You throw a 0 point, you chuck a flash, you're gonna keep Ambrosia players there on an eco round, and it feels like all the RNG stacks haven't been working out. And that's a big pivot point, right? Is that they're gonna be stronger here versus previously in Premier, they were running a double sentinel, which may have explained their difficulties on the defensive half, right? So, Ambrosia, talking points right now. I want them to get a little bit more aggressive. This composition, heavy contact-based engagements, it feels like, and we're not getting that out of this squad.
It is just a little bit weird seeing this sort of look from this team period because, again, their defensive side, again, like I was saying before, perfect. Basically perfect this whole time. I mean, it's different when we were seeing a game against Shopify, right, where it was really just seeding, but versus Hakiki Mori, again, it was just really, I guess you could say basic play, really relying on the comp a little bit for that retake potential, relying on the deadlock for those deep A interactions. And it's basic, it's basic Valorant a little bit, and they were able to, really play that well, just play individually confident. Not many moments of drama for the team, but this is different now. Ambrosia, for the first time, they are getting exploited in the early interactions by Maryville. The first kills aren't going towards Satellite's way. I mean, he was insane in terms of the first kills. I actually do have a stat for that, but we move.
And this is a change as well. I mentioned I wanted to see more aggressive plays. Well, pick up the operator instead. Try that first blood approach, or just through the smoke, Smiley dinked wildfire. I'm pretty sure for 140, so that also works. But aside from that, it's again this slow, methodical approach. No real aggression out of Ambrosia. I'll be excited to see another retake attempt with rifles because, again, this is going to be the second one of the half, right? So very proactive timeout, it feels like. But I talked about addressing art control, something Glyph tried to do single-handedly. Unfortunately punished for it.
That's a very tough look. That was sort of the adjustment that Ambrosia made when they switched up the comp on this map. Instead of Satellite being that annoying guy over towards the mid side, he is allowed to roam a little bit more, kind of pick and choose his choke points, but that does leave the Astra over towards mid. Not great for the super reactive util. They need a little bit of time to kind of warm that up. Smiley not being close enough back over towards mid two, not being able to help. Does kind of break down the idea, but this is huge setup for Ambrosia. 3 players here on B. They have the util to try to stop him. Ren's still already heading into elbow. Bit of control here. 20 seconds left. Hort's gonna go down, but here comes Ren's. They knew Ren's was coming back, but Ren's misses out on the first frag. Giza, huge opportunity for Giza. Able to strike down 2. Ambrosia now down to 2. Spike plane still not going down. Huge flash to take everyone away. Screwface still trying to make things a little bit more chaotic here. Needs the first kill, but Satellite
survive!
He just needs to stay alive. 2 seconds left. 1 second and it's over. Shotgun up from Satellite to take away Wildfire. And the round tragically is over.
Let's clean up.
And with an 11-1, all it takes is 2, and they are halfway there. Ambrosia, a buzzer beater to get to map point on their pick. I mean, I thought for sure the plant was about to be secured. Giza, elbow sticking out. And I was worried, right? The players from Ambrosia, funneling out to their death before the supportive utility from Screwface was really there. And, I mean, Screwface plays it correctly, just trying again to cause chaos, be the master of mischief there. Again, just deny the spike plant. And, I mean, again, also the slow pace of realization they weren't going to be able to get spiked down and weren't running at, you know, Satellite is also what has led to the situation.
Tragic. To say the least. But here comes Giza, one-on-one. Able to take away Adder. That is huge positioning here for him, for Maryville. But look at the rotational rating for Ambrosia. 3 players over towards A for Ambrosia. Wildfire knocks it down to 2. Ainge knocks it down to 1. Huge take from Maryville already.
Giza holding the claimed territory of Art from the early engagements. Smiley, no choice to really rotate through that avenue, even contemplating the save arc here, because again, when you won 4 rounds in a row like Maryville did, their bank accounts are sweltering versus Ambrosia struggling here to keep weapons in hand. I'm maybe even gonna see a force up from this team next round off of, you know, Screwface being close to ult.
No charges.
It'll be hard to call, but for now, Maryville, again, Art feels like the biggest weakness for Ambrosia, and they know how to exploit it. So that's what I'm hoping that I gotta see Kyler Screwface call around that here. Maybe a timeout taken to address it. Like, 1 round, fight mid plaza through Art and see what happens kind of vibe.
Yeah, I desperately need that Satellite moment right now because I was talking about a stat earlier. Very simply put, this guy gets a first kill every 3 rounds, basically. On Yoru, he has done that. Like, just about, I think it's like every round and a half per every 3, basically. AKA, this guy is getting a first kill almost every single time, basically every single time, and we just haven't seen it. Satellite, he has been huge in this game so far. On this half, needs to step up a little bit earlier to kind of shut down that momentum from Maryville, and he's gonna have his chance. It's gonna be Satellite with a Bucky, but it's gonna be not with a Bucky, plenty of players going out towards that A main.
Yeah, nice setup here. Leaves the Bucky deposited off the Nebula, off the stun. Curious to see how Maryville approaches the re-clear. I do like this, though. I mentioned I wanted some form of aggression. We got it A main. Beautiful. Deposit your had to TP out, maybe just the timing mismatched. But I like that they re-droned and looked like they were going to fight as well for Art control. So maybe it feels like it's very poker face right now, right? A lot of util, a lot of presence, but nobody actually holding that space. So Maryville hasn't fallen for it. They're just strictly business. Another A split in the making.
Oh, look at the step out. Satellites with the shotgun. Unable to get one through the deep waters. Now it's real tough for Ambrosia. Yeah, they have no deep control by any means. Screwface, Smiley, Glyph, all gone. The road continues here for MU. It's been cut to half.
Would not have pictured this as an 11-1. Still 5 rounds to go till overtime. 5 long rounds before you can talk to your coach, unless Ambrosia takes their second and final timeout here as well. And I feel like what Ambrosia's doing right now, saving up for the grand finale, right? 1 off Annihilation, 2 off Armageddon. Already have the Rolling Thunder. 1 off from Cosmic Divide, right? It's literally almost blackout bingo here. And that's going to be the most difficult round for Maryville University to get past, is when Ambrosia locks in and fights aggressive mid with those ults, or if they completely disengage and play a full retake with those ults.
This is what I was waiting for a little bit, the early interaction from Satellite, but again, every time I saw him over towards the mid side, solo, he has plenty of support around him, but it's going to be a very different look for Ambrosia. Maryville, they've been able to go to either side of mid pretty easily here. Giza steps back into the scope of Satellite, and that's going to break the mid setup a little bit for Ambrosia, or break the surprise at least. Maryville has not kind of sunk their teeth into anything at the moment. Ren's looking for his own try op kill. It's going to be 1-on-1.
Yeah, I wanted to see the mid plaza aggression. Not just so sure how I feel about it with the operator here. And again, Art looks vacant, right? Not much utility. Now not much player presence with Smiley conceding that space. They feel like this is A lean, right? They're trusting in Satellite with that operator over towards B. And even though off-play Steel Garden, they've read this. They know that Spike's now grouping over towards the B side.
They have a huge kill from Satellite, and that gives Screwface more than enough time to get right up front and personal over towards B. The Rolling Thunder is ready. Could use it at any point. Here comes the play over from Link. He's right from behind. He's gonna catch Cliff. Where's the Rolling Thunder? There goes Screwface. Is gonna discombobulate the bomb a little bit, but there goes Chloric. Rens, both collecting huge frags. Not over,
Not this
technically, but no, not gonna happen here for Adder. Not able to get the miracle a little bit, but it's a 1-on-4. Best of luck, my friends.
Again, you didn't use any of those ults minus the Rolling Thunder. Again, you wanted to play down the clock, so you'll have your day when you have the rifles, hopefully. But Adder, Stellar Sub stepping in. 1v3 now. Again, I think they're just looking for kills to get that ultimate online, so then they don't have to worry about early aggression, get some ult orbs in their hands. They're looking to die here or find one more kill on the exit, because we mentioned bolstering Connor for Maryville. If you continue to let these players get away with 3 or 4 round victories, you're gonna have a comeback arc in the making.
My goodness, here. Like you said, I mean, Ambrosia, they were collecting sort of the, you know, the cornucopia. They were collecting the haul a little bit in terms of the ultimates. Not gonna have the Rolling Thunder for that combination, but they still have a hell of a round coming up soon. But the way that Maryville able to take that one away, I mean, Zobi, not exactly much of a challenge when Maryville eventually got that control.
Again, it's just these mid avenues. Ambrosia fights for it early, then gives it up in the late round. And Maryville is always there in the late round. Well, this is what I asked for, right? Was a heavy art fight. 4 players, eco weapons. This looks like this was the trademark setup for Maryville of an ace split early on. But again, Ambrosia second guess themselves. They redistribute when they have the early round plan in mind. I mean, a main fight could go in their favor. Rens,
he's fine.
That's lethal.
But Adder,
They're not fine.
There you go.
Can't walk
not
it off.
fine. No. He's not able to dust himself off by any means. My bad. Here comes Giza. Why is he just running? What? How does Giza even get one there? Dry coming out, able to get the frag onto 2. Does get traded back, but Ange still collecting his own frag onto Screwface. 1-on-3 here for Smiley. Still technically Smiley. They do see the sonic sensor. They know he's in the back of sight. Smiley not pinging the headshot that he needed. Heavily necessary.
Concealment.
No glyph.
Spike planted.
Tough to say that this man has a chance, but here we
Drone. Is he gonna sneak by it in time? Looks like they know, even if the ping didn't connect. Now it's all sights trained on the remaining player. Another round for Maryville University. 3 now until overtime. My biggest fear coming into this round has started to come true. Was that Ambrosia was gonna feel like, wait, the euphoria, we're about to close this out and start investing some of these ultimates.
Yes.
And they used the Annihilation without converting the round. They utilized the Rolling Thunder 2 rounds ago without converting the round. And that sort of methodical investment instead of an all-in is what is going to force this into an overtime. So King Fred stepping in last time out.
Good stuff, Ambrosia. Now more than ever, you need to combine your efforts to try to get yourself just one singular round. One singular round on a side where they were virtually perfect the 2 times they played it this week. This is a lot to say here about this Maryville team, and like we were saying before, the ability to adapt, the ability to step up to the moment for these players. The experience is working. The coaching, I mean, I can't really say that it came in too much into play coming into that second half because, again, no timeouts. Of course, the preparation is there, but my goodness, these players, every single one of these players in some way, shape, or form has leadership experience in Tier 2, Tier 1 Valorant. Again, these guys able to pull themselves together, able to use those early timeouts and not get hurt for it.
And they were taking their last timeout. Then, yep, Maryville's coach gets the time to get a word in as well. That final stretch. And this goes back to, again, what Roy and Liz mentioned on the desk, the mental fortitude, the resiliency, the stamina this quad has. I mean, an 11-1 comeback. 3 rounds shy in the making right now. Feels like Fanpro's just starting to get the hang of things, you know, destroy the early darts, deny the early info. You talked about Sidelight being in the hot seat. Well, now they're going to be the one fighting for art control with the operator. This looks good. Again, we wanted to see them address that. Hopefully that's something the timeout is pointing towards. And I like the deep wally main as well. Pacify it. And you get information when it's destroyed on the minimap as well. So leveraging this comp that, again, feels info starved if you're not making contact.
Take flight.
Again, it's just going to leave Ambrosia. This waiting game. The drone is going to come out. I'll grab that in front and, okay, that's cool. Nice.
Eye in the sky.
Couldn't exactly take his little tour Those little stroll around the map.
And here it is, like clockwork. The Giza late art control dart as well, but I talked about it. Satellite was supposed to be there to pick up that control, and now they've been overwhelmed again.
The timing is absolutely insane. Tough stuff from Satellite, but the call is there. The rest of MU, they strike as Glyph goes down. 3 more remaining for Ambrosia, and it's almost wraps here unless a kill or two can slip by, and that almost happens there. Giza whiffing onto Screwface. Screwface doesn't take a single bullet to the body, but also Screwface doesn't get his own kill. And like you said, potentially the save here. 2 more rounds after this. The bare minimum, or excuse me, 3. If MU's gonna take this the distance, Ambrosia maybe want to give themselves a chance going into the next round too.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the Armageddon to play off, the Dimensional Drift, the Cosmic Divide. It's not Blackout bingo, but it could get the job done here. Adder looking to hold on to this weapon. First, good. Friends, the follow-up. Thorough. Beautiful. Complete. Screwface not only defying the same fate, just gonna flee alongside Smiley here. Angie could get the late impact that we know he's known for here, but I think time's gonna be against them in this case scenario. 2 look like they're gonna hold on to rifles.
I got your back.
2 rifles. Gonna be EV pistols down the line here for Ambrosia, and okay, so they're looking to force. It's a force too. So, all right, dang. I mean, again, they lose this round. Their eco is pretty much in the same state here. They would be coasting in the next round with nothing. Scraps, not nothing, but definitely scraps.
Yeah, it'd be a guaranteed overtime at that point. So this is the round where we have to see these ultimates used in conjunction. Look at this. I mean, we finally got to see them try to address what Maryville was doing on these splits last round. It just didn't work out. The timing again from Giza, too perfect. So I want to see them try something different. Like, again, maybe, you know, give up space, hold the mid connectors, and go for an all-in retake. Because don't get me wrong, these players from Maryville are slippery. You're always going to have someone behind you, it feels like, right now. Especially with a comp, with a deadlock.
Early peek here from Giza. Of course, it's not going to be an actual one-on-one here, but it's going to be a big spot.
I think they are playing for retake here. Look at how, like, far back the players are, right? Like yes, Satellite was playing forward. That's the duelist DNA, the first blood mentality that you mentioned coming through. But now they've even repositioned. Safe hall, gate crash, and spawn. They have a read here. All signs point towards an endpoint of A. The Giza art clockwork. They're in position.
No way, and you still have Glyph in the back. Glyph gets exposed. Smiley in the one-on-one, not able to get anything, and what a shock dart. The nade's gonna come into, and he is gone. Adder, Satellite, the only 2 left here to try to hold on to this lead, and what a lineup. Wildfire down to 8 HP. Things are possible now. Spike down in the middle. Adder almost with full util here, just doesn't have the drone.
There's Hunter's Fury. And they call the bluff from Ambrosia.
What a call out. There's finally the Hunter's Fury. That's going to burn so much time. Hunter's Fury in. Wildfire from behind. Ainge gets the frag. Wildfire is going to put his stamp of approval as Adder goes away. Maryville University down 11-1 at half. 1 away from reaching overtime.
Wow, only dropped 1 round this half. And, I mean, there's a bye. You know, for Ambrosia, smattering of light shields to complement it, but it feels like right now Ambrosia, that round in particular, had a perfect setup, but they flew too close to the sun. They were a little bit too antsy to get the retake started, and all the players weren't fully in position yet. So then they got fragmented, isolated, taken out of the picture, and the impactful ultimates fell 1 by 1, starting with that Cosmic Divide. And I mean, if A is working, turn up the heat, run it back.
Look at the buy, though, here from Ambrosia. A lot better than what we kind of expected. Full rifles down the line. Satellite has that op, but somebody is dangerously close. It's gonna be a quick wall here. There's Satellite, not able to get much. He's gonna get stopped here. Nade right in front of him. Satellite getting plugged away. But what? They just run right into him. Easiest double pump I've ever seen. Satellite able to get 2, and that just might be it. Chloric in a 1v4 as Smiley takes away Wildfire. Standing on his own is Chloric, the leader. Watches his teammates go down. in a disastrous fashion. They had it lined up, but Cloric is gonna get exposed by Screwface. Ambrosia still pulling away 13-11. Yes, it's the expected results in terms of the map from halftime, but not the way we got there. 13-11.
Wow, and that's the 51-49 that Roy hedged his prediction on, right? Like, what a comeback, what a turnaround. And I mean, it definitely felt like Maryville had to identify the weaknesses on the defensive half after, you know, being able to watch some of these observer feed VODs. And that is, again, then going to probably come into effect later on Fracture. But that map, like we said, all it takes is one. And it got scary, but Ambrosia did it.
Yeah, like we were saying, the experience was going to be there for Maryville. The ability to kind of land on their feet, cat-like for this team, was going to be there. It got there, and it showed in flying colors. So Maryville's still scary. You know, that hype from Ambrosia that we saw going into this game definitely has been tuned down a little bit, especially because that was their insta-pick map. That was the map that they have been sort of relying on this week. So let's see what changes here. The pressure is on for both of these teams. We're going to send it over to a break. We'll be right back with more relegation.
I played on a lot of teams at this point, the majority of which I had to compete on instead of being a practice roster. And it's like, something that's really beneficial about this roster, about Derek and Steven especially, is that everybody's just really happy. Like, everybody has a lot of trust for each other and a lot of love for each other. And obviously right now we're not like, you know, we don't have the formula making it work consistently, but I truly believe that when we win our first match together and we experience that feeling of winning together and we get to have that belief, you know, I think this team can be an Ascension contender. Like, Steven has some of the best mechanics I've ever seen in my life. Pulls rounds out that I've never seen ever, especially with the Guardian single shotguns. And I think generally speaking, when he's playing loose and playing with fun in mind, you know, he's able to unlock the best version of himself. And that's something that he's also consistently looking to do more often. And I think same with Derek. I've had messages from them talking about how they love the environment, they love practicing together, they love playing together with me, and as a team. And for me, that's what playing Valorant competitively is all about. If I don't enjoy my practice every single day, I don't enjoy coming in and talking and laughing with my teammates, with my boys. I came from sports, right? I was never meant to be a professional esport player. I was meant to go through college and get a job and then fuck off. You know what I mean? Into corporate America. And during COVID, I got the opportunity to do this, and I obviously love it, right? And don't get me wrong, I've been trying to do it forever. I'm still trying to do it forever, right? But it's so huge to have the personal relationships outside of the game and to be able to truly enjoy practice and laugh with your teammates. Because we'll talk about stuff that has nothing to do with Valorant, you know? And that's cool. I'm a big fan of that.